just wanted to come on here and give my thoughts on yesterday's fantastic heavyweight unification fight between Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk. Great fight, obviously, and their controversy, it's not really a controversy because Usyk won the fight, but there was and has been a lot of chatter as to the way the ninth round played out, where Fury was stumbling and staggering around the ring, and did the referee screw up? Should the referee have simply stopped the fight, or what's the protocol? Well, the reality is there is no protocol, and every ref is going to handle these situations differently when a fighter is in trouble. So Tyson Fury, 2 times in Deontay Wilder fights, in the first fight, but in the first fight in particular, where in the last round, Wilder, who was losing the fight, landed an absolute home run bomb, and Tyson Fury dropped in such a way that it appeared that the fight was over and it was going to be a kind of comeback knockout victory to retain the title in a fight where Wilder was being outboxed, even though he had knocked Fury down earlier in the fight. And I remember seeing that, I guess it was 2019. I think it was 2019. But I remember seeing that fight, and the next day at Bev's gym having a conversation with a retired fighter, and a quite successful one at that. And I told him, because everybody was excited about the way Tyson Fury kind of rose from the dead. It appeared that he was KO'd, that he was not going to move, and he had essentially been knocked flat. And Wilder was celebrating as exhausted as he must have been. He had the adrenaline going. And then Tyson Fury, at about the count of 4, he suddenly had a look on his face which indicated he knew which end was up, where he was, and that, Jesus, I think he's going to beat the count here, and then what's going to happen there, or from there. So I expressed my surprise to this fighter, somebody that had scored knockouts and presumably taken heavy knockdowns in their career, and I said, just from a fan perspective, the knockdown was so heavy that I was surprised that the ref didn't simply wave it over. In other words, as soon as Fury went down, I was surprised that the ref didn't simply wave the fight. That's it. It's a TKO or whatever you want to call it. And this long retired fighter, about my age now, he gave me a look as if he hadn't thought of that yet. And he was kind of calculating in his head. And he said, I think that because it was the last round of a title fight, you have to give the fighter the opportunity, because he wasn't knocked unconscious. It looked like the fight was going to be over, but you have to give the guy, and obviously Tyson Fury then got up and actually ended the 12th round strongly. It ended up that the fight was a draw, but he hadn't thought of the idea that the ref could have simply waved the fight over and Deontay Wilder gets awarded a KO/TKO victory, and that's it. So that's the first thing with Tyson Fury. As far as when he was hurt, what happens? The second fight, he won easily, as we know. The third fight, unlike yesterday, because there is a parallel between an event that took place in the third Wilder-Fury fight and yesterday. So in the third fight, I think, was it the 4th round or the 5th round? But Deontay Wilder scored a relatively heavy knockdown on Tyson Fury. And Fury went down almost a little bit of a George Foreman-esque fall, where he seemed to try to grab at Wilder's trunks and then went down. And then later in the round, Fury went down again, even though it didn't appear that he had really been squared up. And that knockdown appeared to be a tactical, this is a 10-8 round anyway, I can't do better than 10-8 in this round, and I need a little bit more time, otherwise I might actually get knocked senseless. So he made a tactical decision. I feel the second knockdown in that round, in the third fight with Wilder, was something that he just said, I got to take a knee here. I got to go down and hopefully get my head together and finish this round strong, or whatever. Unlike yesterday, where when Usyk landed those shots on the ropes in the 9th round and Tyson Fury wobbled, he did not, I don't think that he knew which end was up at that particular juncture, because based on what we saw from Fury, having the wherewithal in the third fight with Wilder to not struggle mightily to stay upright, and Fury's been knocked down before. It's okay to take a knee to get your head together or to just drop to the floor. But it seemed that Fury maybe didn't know what was going on or did not have as much control of his faculties as he had after the second knockdown with Wilder. I don't think the referee screwed up. And certainly, it would have been a different kind of controversy if, when the ref did step in, as Fury had kind of fallen against the ropes, if the ref had not jumped in with Fury slumped down in a position that should definitely be scored a knockdown. If Usyk had attacked and landed a shot with him more or less sitting down against the ropes, but not technically on the canvas, there's a chance that Oleksandr gets disqualified. So as much as we can sort of debate and argue the mechanics of the way the referee handled it, if I didn't know there was a controversy, I would not have said, oh, the ref should have stopped the fight, or he screwed up, that wasn't a knockdown, he should have let Usyk finish. I'm not seeing it. And the fact that Usyk won the fight anyway, to me, it reduces the level of controversy, because the right guy, in my opinion, the right guy won the fight. That was clearly a 10-8 round, and he pretty much won the rest of the rounds, and I feel like split decision is fair, because there were rounds, and many people talked about this, neither with any sort of axe to grind, that there were a lot of rounds that were so close, that were so difficult to score. And we've seen it in other fights. Like, for example, many, many years ago, I remember the great Colonel Bob Sheridan discussing, he had the international broadcast for Floyd Mayweather, who was still at the time Pretty Boy Floyd, against a slightly past his prime Oscar De La Hoya. Sorry about that. But Bob Sheridan was clearly pulling for Oscar. He wanted Oscar to win that fight. And he said a number of times how close some of the rounds were. And in his estimation, there were rounds that Floyd clearly won. There weren't that many rounds, he thought, where Oscar won these rounds going away. And Sheridan, as the fight was going towards the last round, he said something to the effect of, I don't think that you can give Oscar all of those toss-up rounds. The implication being that Mayweather was going to win the decision, because the rounds that he won, it was very difficult to actually imagine somebody scoring them for Oscar. And Oscar was not going to win every single close round. And so yesterday, there were at least 5 or 6 rounds that absolutely could have been scored either way. And that's where you get the split decision, because we always talk about, almost like politics, when they discuss a margin of error in polling. It's a similar concept where there are a number of rounds that are toss-ups. So, for example, if one judge scores the fight 3 points in favor of Usyk, including a 10-8 round 9, and another judge has Fury winning by 1 point, even with that 10-8 round, that's not corruption. That is standard. That's normal. That's how this goes. It's not an easy job to judge a boxing match. George Foreman, Lennox, they'll tell you the same thing. And so I don't believe that, it should, you could argue it should have been unanimous, but I don't think there was anything weird about the fact that one judge gave Fury the fight despite the 9th round, because, hell, ESPN had Tyson Fury up by either, I think, 4 or 5 points after 7 rounds. They thought that Fury was running away with the fight. So when you look at it that way, it makes sense. There's a logic to it. So that's why I don't see a conspiracy. I don't see Tyson Fury benefiting from generous judging, any more so than there were people that thought that he should have ended up getting a decision in the first Deontay Wilder fight, because he is a better boxer and outboxed Wilder for huge chunks of that fight, even having, taken the heavy knockdowns. So bottom line, amazing fight. Usyk is even better than we thought. Even if Fury is past his prime, he is still a much bigger man. And come on, Fury he fought great in stretches, and you know he could take a hell of a shot and has the good cardio and all of that. Usyk is just a magnificent fighter. So that's all. I just wanted to talk about the knockdown, the controversy, the decision and the controversy even with that, and the fact that based on Tyson Fury's track record, I don't think the ref erred in not stopping that fight. And that's about it. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the fight and the various controversies that came from it.